All right. Well, next up we have JC, and he is our customer success lead, and he's going to be sharing with us a bit about travel drives and guided import. So welcome back, JC. We've already been talking to you this morning, but we're glad to have you back up front and center and look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thank you. Well, I have a brand new in the box hard drive right here. And you can see it's a very small drive. Oh, let me put it in front of my face so it doesn't turn invisible. It's a very small drive. It's a SSD USB-C drive. And this is what I'm going to use to set up as a travel drive with my Mylio account. We just talked about Mylio Drive, which is a great feature, but sometimes people like me that travel a lot and travel to remote locations where there's no internet connectivity, we still want to have full access to our photos. And more importantly, sometimes we want to have not only access to our photos, but we want to back up the photos that we're taking while we're traveling. And that's where a travel drive is a really good idea and a really easy way to work. So let me share my screen here. And what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to connect this drive to my computer here. I'm just going to plug it in and plug it into my computer. And that drive will appear right there. Is the T7 shield. Notice that it's not named with names of fish like all my other drives yet, but it will be. But now all I have to do is I'll go into the Mylio application. Now that that drive is connected to my computer, I'll go into the Mylio application and I'll go to the devices, to the dashboard and the devices panel. And here's all my other devices that are already part of my Mylio ecosystem. I have 3 other drives that are full vaults for my system. That means these drives have been designated as a vault and they store all of the information related to my Mylio library. They have full-size originals, full-size originals, all of the optimized images, the entire catalog and organization information. And from any one of those vault designated drives, I can recreate my entire library. So if I were to lose all of my devices, say they got stolen and I only have one of those drives, I could just buy new devices, plug in one of those vault designated drives and recreate my entire library. But as my library continues to grow, traveling with a big drive, notice the main media drive, that's not with me. That's because that's a big drive that sits on the desktop at home. That one doesn't travel with me. This drive that I just showed you is a very compact, easy to use drive. I'm going to add that to be a travel drive with Mylio. And I'm going to do that by clicking the Add button up here on the top of the screen. And I'm going to select external drive as the device that I'm adding to my account. When I do that, Mylio shows me all the drives that are connected to my computer that are not currently being used with Mylio. One is called Marlin, but that one doesn't have a lot of room, so I'm not going to select that one. And there's my new drive, the T7 Shield drive. It has 2 terabytes free, and that's what I'm going to select. I'm going to hit continue here. And the first thing that Mylio does is that it analyzes the drive, compares it to the size of my library, and it makes a suggestion of how this drive should be set up. In this case, it said that I should set up this drive as a vault, which is true. My library is just under 2 terabytes, so it would fit. But I know that by the end of this trip, it's going to be over 2 terabytes, and that drive will be too small. I'm going to change this and select custom setup. And Mylio gives me a number of options. One of them is travel backup. And notice here in the description of what a travel backup is keep full-size copies of all of your media from the last 3 months. It will not keep older media, and it's great for backup while on the road, which is exactly what I want. I am not home. I live in Seattle. Right now I'm in Florida because my daughter just had a granddaughter. And guess what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to be taking a lot of pictures of this baby, like a lot. And I want to protect them. So I'm setting up this travel backup. I just selected it. I click looks good. And Mylio is going to do the rest. It's going to add that device to my list of devices. Notice that it is listed under the drives and cloud, but it does not have the Vault label like my other drive devices. It is set up differently. And if I go to the device sync policy, it says is a travel backup as a preset, which means it's going to be saving the originals from 3 months back. If I go over here to my sync panel, you'll notice that that drive is now online. And very soon, Mylio is going to start putting the last 3 months of photos, specifically the original full version of the photos, in that drive. It'll also put my full catalog. There'll be thumbnails and optimized images in there. But as far as the original photos, those will be on the drive itself, the full-size images. So as I take new photos, those photos get saved to this drive. And what's great, and also part of the version 22 release, is I don't have to travel with a laptop anymore. I can use this drive. It's a USB-C drive. I can use it with my iPad. So you'll notice that right now that drive started synchronizing, and it's saying, okay, there's about 1,800 photos that need to be synchronized to that drive. That represents the last 3 months. Well, I'm going to make things difficult for Mylio. I'm going to go here and I'm going to remove that drive. I'm going to disconnect it, right? So I disconnected it from Mylio. I'm going to go to the Finder in my computer. I'm going to select that drive and I'm going to eject it, right? And I'm going to unplug it. And here's the drive. It's unplugged. And then I'm going to plug it into my iPad instead. So you guys are looking at my camera. There's my iPad. There's the drive. I'm going to plug it in. And I'm going to launch Mylio on the iPad. And I'm going to share my screen from that iPad in just a second. Bear with me. It's coming. All right, so here is my iPad. And I am in Mylio, and you'll notice that that drive will appear to be online here in just a second in the Mylio application, and it will start syncing while connected to my iPad.
Did you click the add button, JC?
You might need to actually go up to the add devices
I
button.
do have to do that. Yes,
Yep.
I do have to do that.
I learned that the hard way.
Apple requires
external
us
drive.
to actually browse
Yeah.
to the drive and find it.
There it is. Notice there's already a Mylio folder in there. So I'm going to hit open. And now that drive will appear online and is synchronizing. And if I go back to my computer, I can also see in a second here that that drive will appear to be online, and it will start synchronizing those photos, even though it's connected to my iPad. So what I can do now, even though I only have a 256 gigabyte iPad, I can travel with that iPad and this small drive, use the rest of my strength and storage space to carry all my cameras, and not have to carry a big laptop and a big hard drive, but still have my photos protected to another storage device. And I can have multiple travel drives. If you're paranoid like I am, I'll probably travel with 2 or 3, especially if I'm going to a location where I don't have good internet access. When I do underwater photography, I'm on boats in the middle of the ocean a lot. There's often no internet. So having the ability to have these travel drives with me that are small and that I can connect to whatever device I have, whether it's an iOS device or a laptop, and protect all the photos that I've been taking during that trip, is great. As soon as I get connectivity again, if I go to a hotel room and Mylio sees my other devices, it starts sending those photos home. And oftentimes when I get lucky and I'm in a hotel that has good connectivity, my photos get home before I do. But with the travel drive, I don't have to worry about that, and I don't have that requirement anymore. So it's a great new feature, and one that I intend to use extensively.
There was some very technical questions about connectivity, which I've had to beat the heck out of, and I've actually been testing a bunch of equipment from other folks. So do you guys mind if I share that info? I'm assuming you haven't had the joy of testing 12 different brands devices. So here's what I'll say. iPhones and iPads offer two types of connections. So there's Lightning, the traditional method that we've had on older devices and phones up until the current version. And then there's USB-C. So on Android, there's also USB-C, and Mylio can import from card readers for things like that. If you are using an iPhone with USB-C, it has enough power to generally power one of these bus-powered SSD drives. So you could plug a memory card reader in and ingest and then write back out. However, if you are clever and you push the limits, I found it's really easy to take a USB hub. They make great USB-C hubs, and just plug into the power port on that that's designed to let the power pass through your battery pack, like an external basic battery pack that you would charge a phone with. And then it's super easy on the phone to plug in both the card reader and the SSD. And so you could be ingesting and backing up with Mylio right to the SSD while in the field on a phone. If you have a iPad Pro, that puts out enough power that with the hub, you can plug in both the card reader and the SSD to do a true ingest workflow. So if you're just using the travel drive aspect, that works great on everything. You can do that. Now, on the older iPhones with Lightning, there is a Lightning to USB-A connector type that is significantly slower than USB-C, but you can plug that in. And what works really well there is like a USB thumb drive. So you could take like a 1 terabyte USB thumb drive and easily plug that in. There's also a plethora of memory card readers that you could plug memory cards in, so you can ingest and then go right back out. So if you don't want to buy an SSD, but you've got a lot of memory cards laying around, you can use that as a method, and that works fine as well. So that's kind of the limits. USB-C is a significantly better experience, but with the older Lightning, you can still do that on your iOS devices. I don't know if anybody else has anything they want to add to that, but there's your nerdy answer. I've been testing devices from Crucial and SanDisk and OWC, and I'm finding broad compatibility.
This one's a Samsung, by the way.
Yep.
So Jason is asking in the Q&A, does it work with Android on the go as well?
You can ingest from Android, but we don't have external drive support for vaults yet on Android. We're exploring additional options on Android as we go forward. But right now, this is an iOS feature for using the external storage, but for ingesting, you can ingest on iOS or Android from a memory card.
Perfect. And then there's one last question in the Q&A, and I think it's a little too broad for answering today, from Harold, and he'd like to know more about JC's workflow with new photos from your phone and camera while you're on the go. I think that's a great idea for a future webinar in its own right. What do you think?
We can do that on an upcoming coffee break for sure. But what Rich mentioned, it's very close to what my intended workflow is going to be, where I'll have a hub that I can plug in both the drive and the memory card. So while the iPad will be the conduit by which the photos go from the memory card to the hard drive, I don't require a lot of storage in the iPad itself. So I will be able to do things with the iPad. But sometimes I travel with a laptop also because it gives me a lot more editing functionality. There's certain applications that you can run on an iPad, but when you want to travel light, now you have that option. And really the protection aspect of it is what's really great.
Awesome. Well, we're already a little bit over time for this segment. I know we're supposed to talk a bit about the guided import. Do you want to show that really quick? Just give a little overview, and then we can hand off to Theo and JC to talk about Frame.io, and let's see what else is up next. Camera to cloud.
Absolutely. So guided import is something that was already there in version 22, one of the latest releases of version 22. And you can see it right there. I don't know who's sharing the screen now. Somebody took over. Oh, it's Rich. So guided import is a great way to bring your photos into Mylio and to easily find the photos that you want. We keep photos everywhere, right? We have photos in social media. We have photos in different computers. We have photos in different storage mechanisms like hard drives and memory cards. So regardless of where your photos are, the guided import for Mylio has already predetermined buttons that you can click to add your Apple photos, to add the movies folder from your computer or the pictures folder from your computer, to bring photos from Instagram or Flickr or Facebook. If you click Add Android phone, it will guide you through adding your phone and bringing the photos from that phone into your library. So it's a great way to get used to adding media to your library. And it can be accessed in one of two ways. It will be, when you first start using Mylio, if you're a new user, it will come up immediately when you install the application and it'll give you the chance to add photos. But if you have already media in your library, you can click the Add Media button and notice that the last option there is guided import. And when you click on that, it shows you all the options. If you're on a computer, so this is now available both on computer systems and on mobile devices like a tablet or a phone. If you are on a computer, you can also go to the File menu and find the guided import there as well.
Awesome.
Ta-da.
Yeah, I think that covers it. Well, thank you so much, JC. That was awesome. And I know
Absolutely.
travel backup and travel drives are a really big topic and a really fun one that a lot of people want to know more about. So we'll talk about that in future coffee breaks and webinars.